Comes to you every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. I'm your host, Barry Johnson, and I also have with me in the studio Grace Amviko, who is our sign language interpreter. Zone 72 highlights the rights and choices for all adolescents and youth, and it emphasizes on the three-pillared global strategy for adolescents and youth, putting young people at the center of sustainable development. Zone 72 Youth Program is in collaboration with the South Sudan Ministry of Health, South Sudan Nurses and Midwives Association, Shabab Le Shabab, Canadian Association of Midwives, and UNFPA. Zone 72 is also made possible with support from Global Affairs Canada. Well, to comment on today's program, you'll be calling us on our studio lines, that is 0911 or 0922 986 986. And for text messages, send to 0913-986-986. You can also stream this broadcast live by logging onto our website, that is www.iradio.org, on our Facebook page, iRadio. You can also stream this broadcast as well on our YouTube channel, that is iRadio South Sudan. If you have questions about adults and health, send us an email to youthzone72@gmail.com, or you can call 0922 009497. We have two hotlines and they're toll free. If you want to report on GBV, you can call 623. And if you want to report on adolescent health immediate, call 885. Today we are going to be looking at menstrual hygiene management, which remains a challenge in South Sudan, especially for schoolgirls and women in rural areas. Limited access to sanitary products, clean water, and proper sanitation facilities has led to school absenteeism, stigma, and health risk. Well, to shed more light on our topic today, I'm joined in the studio by Emmanuel Kuku Isbon, who is the Secretary General of Menstrual Hygiene Management Collusion. And we also have with us Musoke Ayub, who is Program Manager, Health and Nutrition of Hold the Child Organization. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the Zone 72. Yes, both of you, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, the host. I like how you brought it forward. My name is Musoke Ayub, as you mentioned. I look at issues on sexual reproductive health, HRS, CSRH, and it's my pleasure to be with you here and to discuss these issues affecting MHM.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Emmanuel.
All right. I'm by name of Emmanuel Kuku Esbon Herbert. Just to make some clarity on the position given, I work with Afrian as a program resource manager.
Okay.
At the same, because Afrian is the secretariat of the MHM coalition at the national level. That is why I think the confusion comes in.
All right, no problem. Yeah. Okay, you're welcome. Yes, going to our discussion. Ayub, let me start with you. If you can just explain in a layman's language what is menstruation and why is it an important aspect of girls' and women's life?
Yeah, thank you so much, host. It's you asked me a very good question about what is menstruation. First of all, to bring it in a layman's language, menstruation is a normal vaginal bleeding that occurs in the women's monthly cycle. And just to add light that it's normal, that's why for any woman who doesn't experience menstrual periods, there is a question. Because the only way we qualify to say now this lady has gone into the adolescent stage is when we start register. One of the key example is starting periods. So it's a normal vaginal bleeding which occurs monthly. Yes.
Okay. Let me go to Emmanuel. What are some of the significant challenges affecting menstrual hygiene management here in South Sudan?
All right. The significant one of the registered significant point is that the culture norms is still playing a great role in South Sudan when it comes to issues related to menstrual factors. And then the other thing is the economical crisis that is really also affecting the country, because when we look right now in the market, the price of a part with the reusable parts is currently in the market or in the shop is at 4,000 pounds, and of which, when we look at the daily earning of some of the household is below that amount, and then it become one of the key factors, because some of the houses have more than 3 to 4 girls who are all in menstruation age. Then it become one of the factors. The other thing is, we looked at the hygienic aspect of it. When we look at our society, then the environmental factors which is contributing toward the hygiene is not, it is really at a lower level, whereby some of the communities in South Sudan currently is still even doesn't have wash facilities. Some homes even within Juba doesn't have wash facilities, and they have no segregated wash facility for women, because when we talk about the wash facility, when women are going through menstruation, they are supposed to be, because their body is so sensitive to some of the infection, the UTIs. These are some of the key factors that we registered as the coalition, the Menstrual Hygiene Coalition at the country, and as partnered who are implementing the menstrual hygiene activities. Yeah.
Okay, when you say cultural norms, if you can break it down and maybe give us an example of what is the most common one that you have encountered in your job.
When we talk about the culture norms and the culture behavior, when we looked at some of the cultures are still against the MHM activities. What we counted, or what we registered in these 4 years of operation as AFRIAN, because we are leading also menstrual hygiene at the country level, we find that some of the communities are still doing the local management system of menstruation, whereby in Central Equatoria there's one of the community who are still sitting on the hash. This is a culture practice of how they can manage their menstruation. Two, also they have, if you are on menstruation, you have to be isolated from the family, the domestic works of the house, whereby you need to be put somewhere else where you cannot be even touch the mere utensil of the house. These are some of the cultures that are still practicing. That is also contributing to it, as we say it. And again, some of the cultures are like, men are not supposed to talk about menstruation to their daughters. You see, these are some of the exercises that it is really affecting that is coming hardly from our community toward menstruation. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Ayub, you want to add something?
Not really, but just to point out something about culture. We really agree, like for instance, in the settings of our African cultures, where maybe you divorce with your wife and now you find yourself as a father, the one taking responsibility of your girls in the home. Now, what does it say? It means that on one particular day, you are going to find the list of items required by your girl or your daughter that she needs pads. So if we don't come out to address these issues, to understand that yes, it's part of us, the fathers, the men, to get involved in menstrual hygiene, you start asking your daughter, what is this? And then it gives you a platform to discuss with these girls, these daughters of ours. Hey, look, you are experiencing these periods and it is normal. So for me, and even at the workplace, some colleagues are absent from work, and the reason they will give you is I was going through my periods. So it is how you come to create more awareness with them, to make them understand we understand and we feel it is normal if you missed work because of your periods. Yes.
And also, Ayub, when we talk about menstrual hygiene, how do you think it impacts education, especially for school-going girls who lack access to proper facilities and products as well?
Yeah, thank you so much, host. Menstrual hygiene or menstrual periods are directly linked with scoring the education itself. You ask me how. In some cultures, the only way to rationalize that this lady is ready for marriage is when she starts to miss her periods. So from there, they qualify you to be a candidate for marriage. And whoever is around you will be like, hey, now my cows are already working here. Because since she has not gone to school, and the reason is menstrual periods, now she's ready for marriage. So that's one way how the periods or the menstrual periods are affecting our education system. Two, if we do not have, like how my colleague Emmanuel has mentioned, if we do not have those segregated wash facilities where we really take into account privacy for the girls, the adolescents, to have their privacy as they are changing their menstrual products. Because if you don't have that environment for the girls trust me, you are going to register a lot of absenteeism from school, and you are really affecting, because whatever they have missed in a particular day will not be recovered. So that's how we feel menstrual hygiene is anchored on the education. If we don't cut the barrier of menstrual periods and the myth and the misconception of how they understand it, then we continue to have many children dropping out of school because of periods.
Okay, yes, Emmanuel?
Okay, I think to add on what my colleague just mentioned, when because most of let me give it from the life example or life experience that Afrian is more into this with school girls. Currently within Central Equatoria, we have registered more than 15 schools that we are working with them hand in hand when it comes to this activity, the MHM awareness and education. We find that one of the key elements that we find in some of the schools, they have not this also the segregated teacher that concern about the privacy of the girls in the school, of which also within the school they have no like the how do you call it the dispenser part, whereby if they change, where will they manage to draw? Because some of the people fear to see their blood, even they don't want their blood has to be, the issue of the blood is also some of the key element that we find within the school when we are carrying this activity. Some of the girls like, how will I feel when another lady is seeing my blood? You see, these are some of the criticisms words that normally comes within the school, and it led to a lot of girls not to be in the school. And the other component is some of the girls not getting more information on menstrual hygiene, because we find that some girls are going through a lot of menstrual cramps. You see, this painful menstruation that also abstain them from not going to school,
yes.
Because some of these cramps take even to the extent some girls has to go through injection. Take some other medicine that at least can make them feel to move, because some of it can make you really go for almost 3 days sleeping. You cannot be able to walk. You see, it is some of the things that we find some of the girls are missing school due to these factors.
Okay, all right. Ayub, I understand there are some health risk that is connected with poor menstrual hygiene. If you can mention some of them and how can they be mitigated?
Yes, thank you so much, Baria. There are many risks we want to discuss, and which are so much associated with poor management of menstrual hygiene. But one of it is that you are likely to have a recurrent infection as any adolescent girl or any woman in the menstrual cycle. If you don't manage your menstrual periods very well, there are very high chances you're going to have a recurrent infection. And the recurrent infection, these are now cases which now go beyond the coalition, because ours is to create awareness, but the moment you start registering infection, it's likely that you're going to be admitted maybe for further treatment. And now this also constrains back on the issues of the economy, because if you don't prevent, then you're going to incur a lot of money to do treatment. So prevention is better than cure. We rather do our waste management, our menstrual hygiene management very well, to tick our boxes, not to be candidates of admission in the health facilities for treatment of UTI. That is one. And then number two, the moment you do not control or manage your hygiene during the periods, it's likely you are going to have irregular periods. Because the moment you start registering infection, then the periods start to become irregular. And this is where you start registering issues like I go in my periods twice in a month, because it's already anchored on poor hygiene, resulting on UTI. Then you start going through repeated periods because you have failed to control what you would have prevented in the earlier, and now it's giving you the secondary effect. And then the last one, maybe these are issues we don't take into account, but now when you become a woman who is ready for marriage at the right time, there are chances that you may delay to conceive, because this is something which progressed and you didn't take proper attention to it. Now you are seeing it at a later stage. So just for the listeners to understand that it is better we do prevention than when we wait for the condition to surge out of control for us. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Emmanuel, you have any addition?
Just I have one point that I need maybe to add. One of the problems that normally girls or adolescents or any woman of reproductive age can face during menstruation is we have the painful painful period that will come, and then we have the abstinence of period, because sometimes, like, if you didn't manage your period for the first, let me give this month, you didn't manage and you incur a lot of infection. That means next month, sometimes it will lead you to prolong your period that cannot come immediately, because there is some of the infection already that has taken control over your system. That are some of the things that really comes in. Yeah.
Okay, and also, Emmanuel, what do you think are some of the barriers preventing girls from accessing menstrual products? And sometimes when I grew up, for you to get a pad, it was like a secret, so it's not something open. Yeah. Even if you go to the shop, it had to be put in a black cover, and people are not supposed to see that. And I failed to understand the reason. So it was like a secret for you to access menstrual products. So what do you think are some of these barriers that is preventing girls to access menstrual products, and how can this be addressed?
Okay, I think what I've registered are only two barriers that I normally look. One is us, the men or the boys, because we love bullying a lot.
Yeah.
That is why sometimes if girls are going to the shop and you find that men are around the shop, rather than having it in a transparent stuff, they order they normally give instruction to the shopkeeper to put it in a black kavera, because she knows that there's a man around, and she doesn't want this man to know what she's carrying.
Yeah.
You see, these are some of the things, and this is one of the barriers that women's are really part of it. And then the other barriers is the culture. You see, because culture play a greater role in this. When we find that sometimes we find that you carrying your maybe you come with the parts or the product in the house, you don't want even your father doesn't want to see what you're doing. You see, these are some of the things that culture is also contributing to the virus, that why make women's to neglect of being open. How we can overcome this? One, we need to really engage more men, because men has to take champion of it, because men are also, to me personally, I put it like, the reason why today I'm open to talk about it, because I put myself in that shoe. If I'm to be a girl, what will happen to me? That is one. Two, if I'm to have a child or a daughter or a sister, how will I manage to care for her? Is it possible that I'm not going to give her money? Will I send her to her mom to go and request from her mom, what, mom, this and that? Sometimes even the mother doesn't know much information about menstruation, and you, the man, is the one who knows it. Why can't you be open to your daughter? Why can't you be open to your sibling that ABC is going to happen, and this is where you can be able to prepare yourself for this period of time. You see, these are some of the challenge. And then the next is we need to really carry a lot of awareness, because when we find that what normally hinders us, the implementing partners or who are doing the activities on the ground, the community gatekeepers. You see, gatekeepers are always the people who hinders partners or implement the organizations that are carrying this activity to go to the community. Why am I saying this? In one of the countries within the county within Central Equatoria, where we had an activity, we targeted the cattle camps. You see, and we find that it is hard for us to go like, we're going to talk about comprehensive sexuality education. What do? We need to integrate another activity which is more likely accepted by them, and then we integrate the menstrual hygiene program into that activity, so that at least we have some females. When we are having a men talk, maybe on like peace building program, we have a men talk, and these females who are with us, the female staffs, go and have a female talk, women talk, and this women talk is more targeting the menstrual programming. You see, these are some of the things that we need to really carry a lot of awareness and education to the community, who are more our gatekeepers. Thank you.
Okay, yes, are you?
Yeah, as Emmanuel was speaking, I was trying to smile because it was hitting some of the cultural, the normal practices which are affecting us. But for us as Hold the Child organization and being a member of the Menstrual Hygiene Management Coalition, we have activities like where we support and monitor returning monitoring from Khartoum. Now we have integrated SRH component in the awareness sessions. But the key ones we look at as we try to integrate our awareness our activities of SRH, we look at ensuring that you create a safe space for this woman to understand why it is important to support them during their menstrual periods. So in the safe place, it cascades down to our homes. If you are a parent who doesn't have time for your girls at home, it's likely you're going to miss a lot to listen to them. Yeah, we have seen families where the girls are more open to their fathers, and the boys are even more open to their mothers. It doesn't reverse the hierarchy of the home. As the father, you still remain on the top of the hierarchy in the house. But the moment you start giving this girl child more space to listen to them, they open up to you. One, you are addressing issues of stigma, because they will not be fearing. As we are discussing purchase of sanitary pads, for the men it is vice versa. It's very hard to see a man going to buy condoms in one of the shops. When they reach there, they are not even able to mention, can I get condom? They'll be thinking, I need that thing there. No. They keep pointing for you to see the commodity they want. But if we break this barrier and say, guys, look, it's no longer pointing at that box. Just mention, I have come to get condom. It's normal. In one way or the other, you are preventing a lot of sexually transmitted diseases. Now, vis-a-vis to our girls and adolescents, it will be a good platform for them to visit the drug shops, the pharmacies, as they buy their menstrual pads. It should be normal. It should not be something where you have to hide. Because the moment we create that platform, that environment, this girl is able to go and purchase these menstrual products with ease and with a lot of confidence. Because we are looking at a very confident woman who is undergoing her menstrual periods. We are looking at a dignified lady who is not stigmatized because she's in her periods. Yes, so if we can have that kind of approach and environment, it gives them ample time to even disclose why they are finding this as like maybe when they are going through their periods, they experience a lot of pain. No one will tell you what they are going through until you become their friend. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Ayub, thank you. And that brings us to the point of what role can men and boys play in supporting menstrual hygiene awareness and reducing stigma. Emmanuel talked about the boys bullying girls. Even in schools, when a girl gets her period, they tend to make it a laughing matter. So, Ayub, how do you believe that, or what role do you believe men and boys can play in supporting menstrual hygiene awareness and reducing or ending stigma?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think even listeners there would be wondering, why is menstrual hygiene management being a discussion point discussed by Ayub and discussed by Emmanuel?
Yes.
Someone would be wondering why. Is it because now we are shifting on who we are supposed to address? But the point here is, we are all stakeholders in this business of menstrual hygiene. That's for a point of a fact. Today, I may not go through menstrual periods, but my daughter, very soon, she'll be starting to have menstrual periods. And then if I come here as an ambassador to speak for the rights of the girls in ensuring that menstrual hygiene, menstrual periods is normal. And then for me, as an ambassador, as a father, as a role model, as a male, we have seen the voice, the power of men in the society. In GBV programming, we have what we call EMAP. EMAP is called Engaging Men on Accountable Practices. Now, if we use men to discuss issues of women, we are scaling up our awareness levels and breaking the barriers of how men become part of the discussion on menstrual hygiene. So we really want men to become stakeholders in sending messages, creating awareness, rupturing barriers of cultural sensitivity, putting barriers on men looking at their girls as a space to practice maybe bride price. We should not only sit on round tables as men to discuss, now my daughter is worth for 100 cows.
Yes.
But do we sit on a round table to say, hey guys, look, my lady, my daughter need to be supported as she go through her menstrual periods. And if we only do that, we can there are many forms. We can form focus group discussions, and that's why we bring in the men, but we bring them in segments. Because as ladies, when you are discussing issues pertaining menstrual hygiene, they will not open up when they see the boys. So what we do, we look at the girls different, but also look at the boys separate. So the point of why we want to look at them separate, we want to understand their level of understanding. When we talk about menstrual hygiene, how do the boys look at it? And then for the girls, we know how they want to look at it, and they will now be sharing with us their key challenges they find. So from those discussion points, now we merge and then come up, where do we need the boys to come in? We have seen like in schools where maybe an adolescent girl can start her periods, but if there is that wide scale awareness, the boys can never stigmatize this lady. They will be able to even to back shield and understand that she is part of us and this is periods. And of course, if I am a man and the lady is going through that, it may not be my responsibility entirely to support her, maybe change her period, her pads, but I can ask any colleague, I say, come and support your sister, she's not doing well. So that is the approach we want to look at as why men should be involved 100%, not even partially, should be involved in the menstrual hygiene of their girls. Even our wives, she can go through her menstrual periods. She's asking you support, maybe, here, please, can you help me buy for me my menstrual products? Say, hey, when did I start buying for you your products? Why didn't you know this thing happens every month? Why didn't you purchase your items? And anyway, on special circumstances, it can happen where you need support from your spouse, your friend. It doesn't change your identity being a man. Yes, so I feel we need to have equal contribution as we support the girls.
Okay, yes, let's hear from Emmanuel as well.
Yeah, okay, I think on that point, when we look at the involvement of men and boys toward this, we're just trying to create an equal environment. Okay, and by creating an equal environment, that means we have created enabling environment for our women and girls. The environment that we are trying to create is just to make sure that we're in the same equal ideas, whereby I can't look at my opponent, which is a female, like it is a strange when coming to her own personal things. Even that is some of the things that our personal needs, we can also make women to be part of our personal needs. Yeah, like for example, if I want to maybe go for I want to purchase my pant, the boxers, why can't I tell my woman, you know what, if you're going to the market, get for me some nice boxers, you know, be open to her, let her also be part of you, as you're going to be, you are also taking part in her. That in that scenario, it will be easy, even though you are, as my colleague says, if she called you, maybe she's at home and you are coming from work, she will be able to open up to you. You know what, mommy, daddy, tomorrow I'm experiencing my thing. Please, can you go to the nearby maybe pharmacy, or you go to the supermarket, get for me A, B, C, D. As long you are coming back home. That one, it will be just a simple environment that we are trying to create for between the two genders. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Our broadcast time is 31 minutes past the hour of 4. And yes, listen of iRadio, if you have any questions that you want to ask our guests in the studio on menstrual hygiene management, you can call us on 0911 or 0922 986 986. If you're also following the program live on Facebook, you can drop your comments and questions there, and I'll be able to read them to our guest in the studio. مستمع iRadio كان عنده أي سؤال في كلام إدارة النظافة الدورة الشهرية، تبقى كده تقول لنا تليفون في أرقام تنا 091 أو 022 986 986 والضيوف تنا داخل الاستوديو بقى كده جاوبوا السؤال تاكي. وده برضو برا للناس ألقي تابع برنامج تنا من صفحتنا في فيسبوك. Yes, Emmanuel, I would love to know, you talked about the issue of the pads, the menstrual products being affordable, but before that, let's pick this call. iRadio.
Hello.
نعم مرحب.
مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
معكم أنا كمال موسى. Technical advisor في Ministry of Education Central Equatoria State.
مرحب.
أنا بتتكلم كلام بتاع هيجين ومشاكل بتاع صحة الموجود هسه أنا سميتها concentrating في girls and boys. I want to tell you back some years back, because by then there are 3 levels of education: elementary, the intermediate, then you have what you call secondary school. By then, we, with the Ministry of Education, we are Ministry of Health, we are working in one line. You wrote to them, then they sent to every school a small unit, headed medical personnel. بيكون زول certificate nurse or الممرض in every school with all the first aid. It was there, and they were in the schools. But now it is not there. Such a thing concerning girls' awareness about this. Some years back كنا عندنا وحدات بتاع الصحة ده هناك بيتكلم بنديهم حصة بيقعد مع بناتها وبدرسوا. But هسه الجد ده كله بقى مات because of our current situation. We have about 1 year back, we have a meeting with NGOs who are helping us, with the Ministry of the Health. We talk about this. We are in one line with them. We are supposed to have this unit in every school with a full, what you call first aid. But it is not there. If it is there, it will help a lot in awareing the students, being girls and being boys. But inshallah, yom tane bija.
Okay. Okay, shukran kathir. Okay, that was Kamal Musa. He's the technical advisor, Ministry of General Education, Central Equatorial State. So, according to him, some years back there were these units headed by a nurse in all the schools, and they usually have these discussions with the girls on health issues and issues to do with menstrual hygiene. And he said it is very important to have such units in schools so that it can also help raise awareness. Yes, Ayub and Emmanuel, would you love to add any comment on what Honorable Kamal said?
Okay, thanks, Honorable, for raising this eyebrow, of which I remember even when we were still in primary school, we normally have it every Friday. This session normally comes. What I would like to put into, maybe to add on to his comment, I remember the Ministry of General Education has launched or integrated the sexuality education, which is the CSE, into the curriculum of the education, and of which this into curriculum. That means it will be like a session that will be teach even within the upper class primary up to secondary school. This thing is already integrated into our curriculum, of which now with current operation that some of the NGOs are doing, they are working directly with the clubs within the school, of which in some of the schools they have the health clubs, and of which the health clubs, sometimes the NGOs normally call these clubs for training. For training, then, so that they go back to the school, carry some of the activities, of which this is what currently some of the NGOs are doing, and the National Ministry of Education has already done it, putting it into curriculum. Now it is just a matter of implementation to follow up with the ministries or to follow up with the schools. Are these sessions really being taught, or it is not taking place? If it is not taking place, what will be done? These are some of the advocacy that maybe partners and the civil society has to carry on and look at tracking this implementation of the integrated session topic into the education system.
Okay. Yes, Ayub, you want to add anything?
I think I just want to appreciate Honorable for his submission he made, but also not to shy away from the fact that, like he mentioned, and that is the approach for sustainability. The only way we have to link these key messages, we want to link them with the schools, because the school programming is set in a way, it's a development approach where even if the the NGOs move out of the country, the schools have to remain. But one thing, like in my days, we used to have the straight talk clubs, which still exist, like my colleague has mentioned. The NGOs are working directly with those clubs. But again, there are other factors we cannot run away from. Maybe in those days, there's a designated maybe a nurse to handle those issues in schools, but due to staff turnover, maybe the nurse has left the school, maybe due to incentives drop, maybe the school can no longer manage the nurse in terms of incentives, and then you realize that the position remains without somebody to support it. But we agree and we really appreciate on his submission. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, listen of iRadio, our studio line is still open for you. You can call us. Our numbers are 0911 or 0922 986 986. And also to those following us from Facebook, you can drop your comments and questions there. Our time is 38 minutes past the hour of 4. Emmanuel, coming back to the issue of the parts being expensive, you go today to the market, tomorrow they have increased, and you will be wondering what is the problem. Why is the sanitary parts becoming expensive? So how is the collusion working to address this issue of the parts being expensive, or how are you working with the government to address this to make it affordable for everyone?
Okay, thanks for this. Is a real crucial question, of which I might respond it in this way. I will first put it in the response of how AFRIAN is working, and then bringing it into coalition. You remember, since South Sudan get its independence, South Sudan South Sudan doesn't have a national guideline that guide the country in terms of menstrual implementation. Let me say that the guideline that what guide all the partners, even the government, on the standard of implementing the menstrual activities. Therefore, AFRIAN and the Ministry of Education were trying to carry out an advocacy on the issue of the tax exemption. Because tax exemption is one of the commitments that the government of South Sudan did in 2019 during the Nairobi summit, which is on the ICBD commitment. And within the ICBD commitment number 4 of the agreement, or the signed document, says that by 2025, suppose this year, the government committed for tax exemption on the sanitary parts products. And this is what AFRIAN has taken upon them as an institution, as a young-led organization, to make sure that this implementation of the tax and the commitment it has reached to its implementation. Last year, with the support of UNFPA and support of other partners, we tried to do some 2 to 3 engagement with the National Parliament. We did our paper position to the Parliament. We have like 3 meetings, discussion with the Parliament, and the Parliament put us back into our teeth, like we need to go with the Ministry of Education to look at the statistic, to look at the real statistic that of dropping out girls due to menstrual issues, of which we sit with the Ministry of General Education. The ministry has given us the statistic of how many girls drop out every year due to menstrual issues, and how many girls have gone for early marriage because of menstruation issues. And this data, we have so far got it. What we are now waiting for, we are making the paper base. We are doing now we are reworking on the position paper. By next week, or let me say the 3rd week of this month, we are going to have another seat with the Parliament, because they are resuming back to their official duties next week. We're going to have another meeting with the Parliament to see, now to present for them the evidence base of what the ministry has given, and then from there, now the Parliament has to put it as a motion within the Parliament for discussion, or they have to petition or maybe put Ministry of Finance to come and answer to some of the realistic prices that they are getting, like the tax. How much are they getting, the country getting out of this product? If it is not realistic, that cannot affect the country income, then it will be moved forward for the action to be taken. These are the things that currently the Ministry of Education, National Ministry of Education and AFRIAN and other partners like UNFPA and Ministry of Health, we are working towards the tax exemption on sanitary pads products coming to South Sudan. And as a coalition, we are trying to, we have launched the guideline, the national guideline that reaching the standard of the implementation of the menstrual activities within the country. We have launched on 13th, where we are celebrating the International Menstrual Day. Supposed to be on 28th, but because of we need some of the key government officials like the Ministry of General Education and some other partners to be available. That is why the ministry pushed it to the 13th, which is next week Friday, which will happen in Gudele Jubek Secondary School. On that, we are going to disseminate the guideline now to all partners within the country to have the guideline. Within the guideline, we came up with a standard kit for the menstrual products, because we find that most of the kids that are coming within the country is more of humanitarian setting. But why can't we also do the kit that is not in humanitarian setting but of rural setting? That is why the coalition has sit down. They have come up with the kit design. That's the country is going to work toward it to make sure that we launch this kit, and this kit will be the one not targeting the humanitarian setting but targeting the rural setting in terms of menstrual hygiene product. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's pick this call. iRadio. اوكي معلش انت ممكن برجع تقول لنا تليفون تاني في 0911 او 092986 call us back on 0911 or 0922986986. Yes, Ayub, do you have anything to add on the exemption on sanitary pads or menstrual products?
Yeah, like Emmanuel has mentioned, first of all, I want to appreciate the government, in particular the Minister of Health, but of course other UN agents. The list is long, but in particular here UNFPA, they have supported so much on handling issues of sexual reproductive health. Now, it's like he has mentioned, if we, as the government, because now for us as implementing partners, we do not replace the responsibility of the government, but entirely we complement on the gap. Of course, the gap is big. The needs always come in. Before you are thinking about menstrual hygiene, the following day you have floods. Before you address floods, the following day you have cholera. So the need keep changing. And now the point here is, as we are addressing about regulating prices of menstrual products, implementing partners have also gone ahead to look outside the box, like looking at issues of reusable pads, especially in a context where the currency devaluation keep changing every minute. Now, even if you look at having regulation, maybe having we call them standard fees, that maybe we can be having purchasing of pads at this kind of price, but also there are areas where somebody even has never seen 100,000 SSP. So taking into account of leaving no one behind, we say, can we have reusable pads? And reusable pads, like other agencies have been able to provide, and people, our sisters, the girls, continue to depend on that. But now, in a situation where we do not have funding completely, maybe these UN agencies have pulled out, what do we do as a community to stand on its own in terms of resilience? So that's why we are looking at, can we, as the government is taking the other direction to understand the tax collection, the prices which should be unified for the pads, can we look at about the reusable pads, so that at all costs we make sure that this girl's menstrual hygiene is not compromised? Yes.
Okay, and also, Ayub, what policies or frameworks do you think that should be put in place to address the issue of the lack of, let me say, the wash facilities in schools, and also access to menstrual hygiene products? Policies, it's very difficult as any practitioner or as a citizen to distance yourself from policies, because from policies we dive into politics. But now here we are not discussing politics. We are looking at
policies. Now, it is these policies, like my colleague has mentioned. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he will correct me. Initially, there was no proper guideline on how menstrual hygiene management should be addressed. But as the coalition, in support with the stakeholder, the big stakeholder here is the government, I think now that document is already ready, is pending review, and of course few amendments, if I'm right. And then on the launch, which we are planning, I think on the 13th of this month, which will be held at Jubek, that's where the guideline will be released. I think a guideline is more of a working document which can change depending on those recommendations, those observations, and those areas which need improvement. So on that day, it will be launched and then disseminated to the different actors to ensure it's a document we use to guide on how we manage menstrual hygiene. But I think in the beginning, the other problem is in the beginning, there are some policies, guidelines which are developed and they get stuck somewhere. So we have to ensure that we follow on the development, but at the same time, the dissemination, the implementation, and then the monitoring. Are we doing what exactly we wrote in these policies? Because writing would be very nice, implementing becomes hard. If implementing is good, monitoring and tracking becomes a problem. So from there, you may not know whether what we developed is a working document. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Emmanuel, I understand you already talked about that, but do you have anything you want to add on the policies and frameworks?
I think the question was a bit looking at the policy and framework when it comes to WASH facilities. I remember in 2023, we had a joint UN program that was organized by UNICEF on WASH programming. They are trying to look at the modification of WASH facilities in the school setting, and of which during the program we try to find how do we want the setting of the WASH facility in those schools to look like, and on that we happen to come up with a brief concept note, and UNICEF have put it. They have like in the WASH department in UNICEF, they have the WASH strategic framework for WASH facilities within the school setting, and that is what I think currently the Ministry of Education and UNICEF are working tirelessly to make sure that this the recommended setting of the WASH facility in school are being implemented. I remember almost like last year they have built like almost in 5 schools in Lake State and Torit. They have built that the recommended WASH facility. That means there is somewhere we are now moving, though it is not into policy, but it's in terms of framework. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Let's go through some of the few comments on our Facebook live stream. We have Lual Majak Akochol. He says, I'm watching you live from Sherikat. We have Col Mijok. He says, I'm watching you live from Kenya. And then we have Jidong Koliat. He says, I'm watching you within South Sudan. We have Ajwar Mathiang. He says, good evening to the journalists and all listeners on iRadio station. I'm watching you from Western Bahar Ghazal State. And then we have Duol Nyawan. He says, I'm watching you from Jongle State, Neural County. We have Surur Juma. He says, I'm watching you from Kansas City, USA. And then we have Akech Denkon. He says, I'm watching live from Juba Teaching Hospital. And we have another one called Kok Adigop. He says, wow, amazing. Okay, thank you so much all for your comments on our Facebook live stream. And we have come to the end of our show. So I'm going to give each one of you the chance to share their last messages to the listener and also those who are watching us on Facebook. Let's start with Ayub.
Okay. Thank you so much, Baria, for this time. For me, it's a pleasure that we now have an open space to come and discuss issues of menstrual hygiene, because it's not very easy to find a home where you are not able to speak about menstrual hygiene. Either you have a sister, either you have a wife, or you have a cousin. So it's our responsibility as a community, as a country, because responsibility starts with you. If something is not going right, is worth speaking about it. Okay, so if we have that free space where we have to discuss issues, please let's encourage, let's create more space for others to speak, to understand, but not to stigmatize. It's embarrassing when someone is going through pain and another is saying like women are cursed with those things. So having those kind of statements are wrong and not real good. Maybe to share the management of our radio for giving us this platform as the coalition. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayub. Yes, Emmanuel.
All right. Thanks once again for giving us this pleasure to talk today. I think me myself, I discovered myself to be the champion of menstrual hygiene because it's my 4th year in this field of menstrual hygiene, of which some of the schools that if I go there, they call me Mr. Menstruation.
Okay.
I'm very open, and I wish other men and boys to join the team. Currently, we normally put clearly, maybe like giving us a go to some of the partners or institutions that really need a lot of awareness. We normally request them if they want, like for example, schools, institute, community based, they can be able to reach the coalition or reaching the AFRIAN for this awareness programming we can design our activity and go and carry this awareness within their residential locations or within their schools. We are there. But my final recommendation will be to my listeners or to my colleagues outside there, let's take menstruation as our own responsibility as men, because I believe in the morning when I was going through the comments in our session on the Facebook page of iRadio, we find that a lot of men are talking why men are the one going to talk issues related to women.
Yes.
Yeah, and I try to raise a concern in that comments. I try like, okay, you might be saying that, okay, you are not responsible for it, but will you feel happy when you get a lady of 10 years, of 11 years, who is already seeing menstruation, get pregnant? Will you say that it is a woman case? Is it a cousin case, an elder sister case? Because they say that, why will I come as a man, as a father, to talk about menstruation to my daughter when the mother is there, the elder sister is there, or the auntie is there? Those aunties, these people are the ones supposed to be answerable. Then I was like, okay, if now someone come and impregnated that lady, will you take it as your daughter, or we are going to leave it also to these women to take it over? Because let us not come from the angle of violence. Why you pregnated my daughter? Why do you leave your daughter to be pregnated by someone when you cannot afford? Because some of the comments are saying that why the boyfriend is supposed to be the one giving the pads. Yeah, and that person who is at the age of 10 years and 11 years, even under the age, our law is against.
Yeah.
And now you are pushing you are pushing that people, this age bracket, to go and ask for help for menstrual product from the boyfriends.
Yeah.
Now, if something happened in return, are you going to open a case?
Yeah.
That is some of the question I put on the comments so that people look into reverse into it. That means as men and boys, let's take menstruation as our own. Let's be champions. Yeah. And then let's create an enable environment to our sisters and mothers, our cousins, whoever's around, even though not your relative, but be friendly. And this is what we do. I personally did here on the 28th. 28 doesn't get me in the field, get me in a workshop. But I surprised the whole girls in the workshop room. During 28th of May, which is supposed to be the celebration day, I went to the market. I get almost like 2 packets of menstrual, the pad. I put in my car. I drive to the workshop site. During lunch hours, I was like, you people, I have a surprise. I get the pads. I distribute to all girls who are within the workshop. Yes. This is part of some of them are like, even I give to the boys. You know what? Take it and give to anyone that you know. If your wife or your girlfriend, give it to them. Someone like, no, this is... I was like, no, you can carry it. Even though you want to go and throw it. Yeah. Let's be champions of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you, Ayub, for this very interesting discussion. Just before we leave the studio, we have this lost child announcement. A family from Lologo residential area in Juba has reported the disappearance of their 11-year-old daughter. She's called Iriho Pasca John. She was last seen at home around 3 p.m. on June 4th, shortly after returning from school. At the time, she was wearing her school uniform, a black shirt, a grey t-shirt, white shoes and socks. According to her father, Oliwa John Eriwa has a history of mental health challenges. If found, please contact 0924302315 or take her to the nearest police station. And with this, we have come to the end of the Zone 72 for today. Thank you, Listen of our radio, for following up the program. Thank you, Ayub and Emmanuel, for this very, very interesting discussion. And we meet again next Saturday on another topic right here on the Zone 72. Have a nice evening.
For information and entertainment, stay tuned to iRadio